Housing in the Twin Cities is really a hot market right now. It makes it really difficult for anyone who's looking for rental housing, but particularly challenging for low-income individuals or people that have barriers to housing. Well, we know that communities of color are most impacted by eviction. We know that eviction is an issue that stays with folks for a long time after an eviction. It is on their credit record. So that means their next housing choice after eviction is never better. It's only worse and begins a downward trajectory in terms of housing quality.
In Minnesota, the wages for at least communities of color are still very low. So if somebody has a change in work and waiting for unemployment, or they just have a medical emergency, or any kind of family emergency that comes up that might take from their income, causing them to fall behind.
This man came in and bought the building. He didn't even take into consideration that, people had to recalculate their finances to accommodate him, because he just walks in, buys the building, and goes up on the rent $125. It's a very humble, it's rather dilapidated, but it's what I can afford. And I've been there because I can afford it, and I'm not in the cold.
If people are fortunate enough to find housing that they can afford, that meets their family's needs, we need to make sure that they're able to be successful in that housing, and really led us to a strong eviction prevention strategy. I think we've made some really great headway in showing that there is a new model that can be created that aligns services more deliberately, more distinctly in support of the families and property owners.
Ramsey County has done an amazing job where the referees and the judges are all on board about trying to minimize evictions in Ramsey County. And so it's really a great setup that it's a one-stop shop.
And so this concept of being able to offer services, the array of services that include legal supports, mediation if appropriate, and emergency financial assistance, really helps that family tackle a number of problems all at once.
It's critical that resources are available at Housing Court. It's the last opportunity, it's the last-ditch effort. It is the last thing that stands between someone being able to remain in their housing and losing their housing. And so it's really essential that those resources are there. But we all know, even with that, we all know that it's still too little and too late. It's too late once we're at Housing Court to avoid all of the damage that we otherwise could have. We could do so much more if we can identify these emergencies and if we treated them with the real urgency that they demand.
So here at Neighborhood House, we provide a very welcoming environment. Families come in, and given whatever their needs are, there's no judgment. At court, families are already coming in very anxious, not knowing what the next steps are. And sometimes at court, because they're stuck in that moment, they can't even begin to think of a hope and dream.
You're coming into a community center where they should feel more comfortable than a courthouse is in some ways alienating for people, or they have previous bad experiences, and I think that part of it makes it a little bit more open doors for them in a literal sense, and just hopefully more comfortable to meet with somebody in a conference room than outside of a courtroom. I think there's sort of the transfer of trust is something that we talk about to say, like, I'm an attorney or I'm a mediator that you just spoke with. I am going to hand you off to somebody else that I know their name, and you can trust them with your legal problem. So I think that is one really big part of it, has just been having that in one space and not just trying to say, like, we'll make a referral later, here's somebody's business card, is just not the same.
I think that a lot of my cases are actually going a lot smoother, meaning I'm able to issue funds on people's emergencies sooner because I've met with the case manager or have a direct line with the case manager versus waiting for phone calls to happen. Collaboration is really important. That made all the difference for this clinic.
You know, one of the things about eviction that we have found is that there is a common agreement on what needs to happen to resolve the eviction. Property owners are looking to appropriately get paid their rent, and tenants are looking to pay their rent. They might have a challenge in how they can do that, but we have a common goal, and it's easy in some ways to come up with a solution and a path, or find a path for resolution, and we can make great headway when we have the same and common goal.